Hi, my name is Joseph Muhammad Ali, and today we will be doing Experiment 1, estimating the calorie content of nuts. In this experiment, our objective is to find the amount of energy in various types of nuts. For this experiment, we will be using cashews. But before we get started, we need to make sure we have the proper equipment, lab coat, and goggles. Gloves are not required since we are not dealing with harsh chemicals. Alrighty. Now, before the experiment begins, we obviously need equipment. So we need to grab a clamp stand, 2 clamps, one for the can and one for the thermometer, some water, an aluminum can, a nut, a paper clip, and a watch glass, and a lighter, of course. Once our contraption is set, we will take the watch glass with the paper clip and the nut and round it to the nearest 1,000th gram, then record. Once it is recorded, we will record the mass of the empty aluminum can also to the nearest 1,000th. After we record the aluminum can weight, add water to the aluminum can until it's about half full, and then weigh again to the nearest 1,000th gram. Next, you will set up the watch glass with the paper clip in the nut or cashew. Make sure not to break the cashew because we already have the weight of it. We don't want to have to measure all of that again. Next, we will clamp the thermometer to the clamp stand so that it is in the can but not touching the inside of it. And then we will record the temperature of the water before we light the nut on fire. Once we set up the thermometer and record the temperature, we will light the nut on fire, but very carefully. We don't want to mess with the temperature change, so we have to move the lighter away quickly once it's lit. Once we light the nut on fire, we need to gently stir the water so that it doesn't burn the can or the water inside. We can use a thermometer for this. After a while, we will record the highest temperature on the thermometer on our report sheet. After the nut completely burns out, we will weigh the entire contents on the watch glass to the nearest 1,000th again. Once we have gotten our measurements, we will discard the charcoal and clean the watch glass. For this experiment, we only did the one trial, so we don't need to cool the water before the next trial, but make sure when you're touching the can that it's not hot because you don't want to burn your hands. You can use a cold water bath to cool it if you'd like. The bottom of the can may have soot on it, so watch out for that. And then if you were to do it again with different trials, you would just repeat those steps all over again with different nuts. Once you're finished with your experiment and satisfied with the results, you can dismantle your contraption and go to do your calculations. So for the calculations on the report sheet, the mass of our initial watch glass and paper clip and nut before it was burned was 36.159 grams. After it was burned, or after combustion, it weighed 35.309 grams. So that it burned off 0.85 grams from the cashew. The mass of the can and water before it was burned was 98.537 grams. The mass of the can was 12.785 grams. So the mass of the water without the can is 85.752 grams. And in kilograms, that is equal to 0.08752 kilograms. The final temperature of the water reached 37 degrees Celsius, and the initial temperature was 25 degrees Celsius. So there was a temperature change of 12 degrees. To find these calculations for the mass of the nut burned, I simply subtracted 36.159 grams minus 35.309 grams, which gave me the 0.85 grams for the mass of the nut burned. For the mass of the water, you just simply take the 98.537 grams of the mass of can and water and subtract that from the mass of the can, 12.785 grams, and that gives you 85.752 grams. To find the change in temperature, you simply subtract the 37 degrees Celsius minus the 27 degrees Celsius, which gives you the 12 degrees Celsius that you're looking for.